for anyone who needs that as well. Hi there, everybody. Welcome to our quarterly all hands meeting. For those of you who I've never met, I'm Ron Blaisdell. I am the division chief for auxiliary youth programs. Well, he was next to me a second ago on my screen. I report to Bruce Johnson, who is the director of the S Directorate. And for those who've been around long enough, you realize that I took over for Bruce's program. So, we've been around for a little bit, but we just kind of shifted chairs, one or two to either direction, as the case may be. I do want to introduce, while I'm here, we have a number of new branch chiefs who joined us this year. Of course, the national staff kind of had an interesting adjustment this year. Our year started January 1, which is not normal. But normally we start November 1, but they changed it to January 1 this year. And so we have had a turnover of a number of our staff members. And so I want to take this opportunity to try to introduce a few of these folks, especially the geographic branch chiefs. Those would be most important for almost everybody out in the field. But although I suspect you probably have met most of them already. Let's see here. I will start with the branch chief for Atlantic East region. That's Holly Johnson. Holly, wave. I know you're out there.
Oh,
there you are. There she is. Okay. Holly is responsible for Division 1 North, Division 1 South, Division 5 North, and Division 5 South, and down here where I am in District 7. I think it's division on all of them. Sorry about that. But Holly has all of those, and if you happen to be from the BSA side of the world and you're trying to figure out what that means, those are BSA territories 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. At least all of hers are consecutive. The rest of them are typically not. So that's normally the way it goes. Okay, Bert Knapp, are you back on? I see you. Can you turn your camera on and wave, or is your camera not working?
Well, I'm trying to see if it will come on.
Okay. Doesn't look like it wants to.
Well, just a sec.
There it is.
There we go. Hello.
There he is. This is Bert Knapp. He is our branch chief for Atlantic West. Atlantic West is
it's the central of the U.S.
Eastern, 8th coastal, 8th Western Rivers. Always have to kind of watch that because it's 8th coastal and not 8th central. It throws me off because it's 9th Eastern, 9th Central, and 9th Western. And he has BSA territories 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 16. So they sort of overlap with some of Holly's area, but that's not uncommon out there in this area. The last one who I haven't seen come online yet, although I expected him, was Bruce Williams. He's our branch chief for the Pacific region of the country. He has districts 11 North, 11 South, 13, 14, and 17, which is basically only 3 BSA territories, 1, 2, and 3. So he's almost got the least number of BSA territories. He just has more districts than anybody else. Okay, so Anthony, are you online? I don't see you. Anthony, where are you?
I'm mute myself. You looking for me?
Yeah, come on the camera so people can see you.
It's on.
Oh, there he is. Okay.
Yeah, right here.
Anthony is our branch chief for social media and marketing. And he was actually a part of that group before. And he stepped up into that role this year, and we're very grateful that he did. Makes a huge difference. I don't have to worry about running around creating all the social media entries somewhere along the way. Our branch chief for youth program support is Ernie Geller.
Hello.
There he is with the eagle behind him, showing off his eagle. What can I tell you? But yeah, he got to spend a week on the eagle, but more than most of us have been able to spend. And last but certainly not least is our branch chief for STEM and training, and that is PJ O'Neill.
Good evening, everyone.
There he is. Most of you, if you've ever watched any of the Coast
You
Guard tech talks.
those mackerels, that what this is all about, then.
So you watched the Coast Guard tech
That's
talks
a drug
and you
problem,
know
you're,
that, and there we go. He, you know, he's there all the time with Coast Guard Tech Talks. We got a good Tech Talk coming up later this month, but we will talk about that a little bit later. Okay. That is all of the branch chiefs on youth program staff. We have a bunch more members of our staff. I don't see too many of them on, but hey, at least you know who the bosses are. Those are the folks you need to work with, especially those of you in the districts. Uh, Depending on what your geographic region is, whether it's Atlantic East, Atlantic West, Pacific, those folks should be some of your first line of contact. They can help you work through many issues. And if they can't, then they know who to reach out to. So that makes it a whole lot easier. Okay, so let's talk about the big elephant in the room. I actually did this conversation already with the DSO, so they're wondering what I'm talking about. But we'll talk about the big elephant in the room, and that is AuxScout 00225. I'm sure all of you read AuxScout 00225, like many of us did, and you know you had to pick your jaw off the floor, but that's okay. If you haven't read AuxScout 00225, I suggest you go to the Chief DeRox's website, the BSX website, and that you find it in the All Access for 2025. Basically, it states that 14 to 16-year-old Sea Scouts, not even necessarily from auxiliary sponsorships, but any 14 to 16-year-old Sea Scout was able to register with the auxiliary as a member. They have revoked that particular piece of information. We have already gone back to them up our chain of leadership and management because there was some erroneous information that was posted in AuxScout 00225 that the decision was made on. So consequently, we've gone back to them with the proper information to let them know that yes, indeed, there are currently members who are members of the auxiliary who are between the ages of 14 to 16, and that we lost a bunch more that we would have had. So, and you know, the auxiliary has been about trying to recruit more people and try to reduce the overall average age, and we just kind of put a big spear in the side of it. So it really doesn't affect much though for our program. I mean, if you think about it for a second, it's a small piece, the 14 to 16-year-olds. Does this stop a Sea Scout from doing a vessel examination for their advancement? No, it doesn't. They can still be taught by a vessel examiner on how to conduct a proper vessel exam. As a trainee anyway, they would have gotten supervised by the vessel examiner. So there's the person who's actually going to sign off on their advancement right there. And so they will still supervise them and do it. If we talk about motor safety classes, that doesn't change. We do motor safety classes for all sorts of scout groups around the country. Doesn't change any of that. And it really doesn't change any other training that you may want to do, whether it's helping to teach knots or navigation. You know, you can always do it in the weekend navigator course, or most all of the navigation requirements. Although there are some more esoteric ones that it doesn't quite hit, but that's okay. It's most of them. So, you know, there's no real change here. It's a minor part of our program. Granted, we didn't have many 14 to 16-year-olds who had already joined, but as a result of the program growing in the last year, by the way, if you didn't know, 70% of all the new units, all the new Sea Scout ships that were chartered in 2024 were actually auxiliary sponsored ships. So, you know, here we just had this huge growth, and we didn't even really have time for those individuals to be able to join. So we've gone back to them, we've explained the situation to them, and we hope that we will have a better outcome from that. We do have support in the chain of leadership and management, so that's the good news. Anytime you've got folks who are on your side, it helps out. So that is going on. I just want to kind of lay that out there first, because I want you to know that we are taking this matter very, very seriously. And we want to make sure you know that we're trying everything within our power to see if we can't get this reversed. And if we can't get it reversed, we know how to run our program. We will continue the way we've been going. So let's not get ourselves all hung up on that. Yes,
How does this decision get made like that without involving this chain of leadership?
that was a decision that I understood came down from the Coast Guard.
Okay, thanks.
I'm not, this is Barbara Thoy. I'm not an expert on this at all, but I remember when they first changed it according to the MOU and they allowed the younger people to join. And I think maybe they missed a step because I don't think they changed the statute to reflect that. So
Well-
maybe they need to go back and change something else.
And it could be, but we're not, if we want to talk about this at length, I don't want to spend too much time on this. But we can always hang out afterwards and talk more about it then. There were a few things that were missed along the way. And so those were things that would have to be changed anyway. I do want to talk to you about a better thing though. As many of you know, the MOA, the Memorandum of Agreement between the Coast Guard Auxiliary and the Boy Scouts of America, actually had a 5-year expiration date on it. And that 5-year expiration date came and went, and the folks in the BSX office never started working on a replacement. Well, they finally did. And we have the new document is a letter of intent. It has gone back and forth between the lawyers for Scouting America. That's the name the Boy Scouts of America we're using as a marketing name right now, as well as the Coast Guard. And we are really hoping that we'll hear something very, very soon on that being approved. It would have been nice to have it done by the 115th birthday of the Boy Scouts, but that's okay. I would just be happy if it got done this month. That would be, in my mind, a great thing. So we will look forward to that. Since it is a letter of intent and not an MOA, it does not have an expiration date. And about the only other change in what was originally written and sent to Scouting America was they changed the name to Scouting America, and they also changed the name of Youth Protection Training because they are going to be changing the name of that program for themselves as well. Actually, something that was going to be coming out last September, we're still waiting to see it show up. But it's a new youth protection program. For anybody who wants to know, since almost everyone here has taken youth protection or has to take youth protection training, when the new training comes out, it will be an annual training for everybody. The good news is that you only take the basic course one time. And then you have renewal courses that cover a different material. So you're not going to have to keep doing the exact same one over and over and over again. For those that's been involved in scouting for any period of time, we did a lot of the same courses over and over and over again. So we will have to pay attention this time when we go to renew. But I just want to let you know that there is new training this week. Oh, I just got a note saying that we might even hear on the letter of intent yet this week. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed for that one. That would be wonderful, to tell you truthfully. I would really be happy to see that. So let's talk about the goals that we have as an organization. Most of you, you've been around the auxiliary any period of time, you know that there's goals that we all have to have at different times, or we're asked to set them by our division, or we're asked to set by our district. Well, same thing is true for those of us at the national level. We had a set of goals that we have to reach. And so we want to talk a little bit about them so you all are familiar with them, because it's something I want everybody to be aware of. our goal for the end of 2024 was to have 39 auxiliary sponsored Sea Scout ships. And that was a goal we met. So that was great. But that's only one goal. So, you know, the world keeps continuing. Our next mile marker for growth is actually the end of this year. And that is for us to have 43 auxiliary sponsored Sea Scout ships by the end of 2025. Now, the good news is I can tell you that we've already chartered one new ship this year, and we have 3 additional ships that have submitted their paperwork to their council or are in the process of submitting the paperwork to their council. That being the case, that should take us past that number. But right now, there are 10 Sea Scout auxiliary sponsored Sea Scout ships whose charters from 2024, 2025 have not yet been processed. And some of them are actually past what would have been their expiration date of December 31. So I refer to them as 10 ships in limbo. Obviously, if we drop 10 ships, picking up 4 doesn't make up for that big of a hole. This is one of the reasons why I'm looking to add something to what we're doing. As AS officers up and down the chain of leadership and management, we have done a really great job of getting new ships started. And we have lots of new ships and they're going on across the country. But we need to also take a step back and we need to look at how well we're retaining the ships we've already chartered. Okay. And so I'm really asking that all of our AS officers in particular keep an eye on the auxiliary sponsored ships in their district monthly. Check in with them. See how they're doing. See what help they need. Okay. Help them be successful. That's the important thing. The other part of that is if we don't think a ship is doing well, if in our eyes there's a problem, you need to reach out to either our counterparts on the Sea Scout side of the world or to the commissioner staff that's part of the Boy Scout Council where the ship is located. Okay. If you have questions about who they are, your branch chiefs all know how to find that information. We're all registered scouters. So we know how to get that information and we can help you with that. So I would encourage you to make sure that we keep an eye on all the new ships. And not even our new ships, all of our ships. Let's just keep an eye on all of our ships. Let's make sure they're doing well. And if they're not doing well, let's get them the help they need to be successful. That's the important part. It doesn't matter if there's a new ship that's just starting or if a ship that's been around a while. I mean, you know, the saddest thing in my mind is when I see a Sea Scout ship and we have one that turned in, their skipper wrote a final letter, which I have a copy of. And if you look at why the ship really was not rechartering, it was because they weren't recruiting new Sea Scouts. Now, this was a ship that had been around for about 12 years. So at one time, they had to have been recruiting Sea Scouts, but then they stopped. People sat back on their laurels, and that isn't how you keep a ship going. I mean, you know, there are lots of Sea Scout ships out there that have been around a long time. And, you know, even the ship that Bruce was skipper of is still around. So, you know, there are some ships that have been around a long time. But it is one of those scenarios where there's a program and they need to follow that program, which includes recruiting new youth to replace youth that are going to be eventually leaving the program when they turn 21 or sooner. They go off to college, possibly. So, you know, it is one of those that it's sometimes a little bit harder, but it is something that we ask everybody to keep an eye on as well, to keep an eye on each one of those ships. The other one that we've added into our goals for this year. And your DSOs have already heard about this, so it's going to be no surprise to them. We have now been asked to start tracking auxiliary, our involvement, the auxiliaries' involvement with non-auxiliary sponsored ships in addition to our own ships. Okay. So what we need to know is we need to track all the Sea Scout ships in a particular AOR, area of responsibility. Okay. And let the folks in our chain of leadership and management know how we are working with them. Okay. Are we teaching them classes, right? Doing some sort of training? Are they attending a safety at sea? Did they do a get on the water event with a local flotilla? Okay. Are we working with them at such scouting function? My flotilla up in Michigan actually is in the process of becoming the charter partner for a Sea Scout ship. That's how we met them, was at a scouting function. And so we are taking over as their charter partner right now. So these things do happen, but we're being asked to start report this quarterly. So the DSOs are all aware of this, and they will probably be reaching out to many of you to ask you this very question. And so, if you guys do a class down, hey, ship 1, 2, 3 was here and they took about boating safely, or they did weekend navigator, or whatever course they took, it doesn't really matter. Or, we took 6 Sea Scouts from 3 different ships, A, B, and C. They went out on a get on the water event with our flotilla. Okay, that's the kind of information that we need to know and that we need to start reporting as of April 30th. So that's why I've already mentioned it to the DSOs, and then we're going to start working on that reporting and get our first report in by the end of April. So any questions on those particular 2 items that I just talked about? No question.
Nope, wait, hold on. Yep,
Yep.
I got a question. So,
Sure.
I have a non-auxiliary sponsored ship. It's sponsored by an American Legion post, but we have a auxiliary unit at that same post.
Okay.
So they are working together with the auxiliary unit,
Right.
but I'm not sure how I go about reporting their time and stuff into the auxiliary.
Well, it's not really time. All we're talking about is activity. So if you find out that that flotilla has been teaching them boating safety classes, they've been, whatever they've been doing with that particular, if they've been working with that Sea Scout ship, then that's a great thing. They caught knots, okay, whatever it might be. That's just the information we need. We need to know the Sea Scout ship itself and what happened. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Great. All right. Any other questions? Okay. Going to move on. As always, we have an agenda that has far more material on it than I don't want to keep you guys on the line all night. You probably, if you've been on any of social media and been on any of the Sea Scout groups on social media, on our AuxScout group on Facebook, on the Sea Scout group on Facebook, on Instagram, or even the website, you will know that we have already opened up applications for Sea Scouts who are interested in taking the cruise on the Bark Eagle this year. This is something we've been doing for quite a few years. In the last couple of years, it became the selection committee is comprised of all Coast Guard and auxiliary persons. So we've kind of taken out that selection process out of the BSA's hands, and we are working on that. So that information is out there, especially for the Eagle, and it is a fantastic opportunity. I'm sure that you can get, any number of people to tell you about how wonderful it is to be on the Eagle. It is a beautiful ship. I have been on it, but I have not sailed It is a beautiful ship. For anybody who doesn't know, she's a spoils of war. She was actually a German ship that was captured at the end of World War II. So it was a training ship for them. Yeah, so that's why there are pictures of it. You will see it without the racing stripe on it. Well, that's because it didn't always have the racing stripe on it. So just one of those things. But that one has already started. Now, Wednesday night, there is going to be an information session. Excuse me. This is also posted in the Facebook groups and also on the websites for this summer's Coast Guard Academy Introductory Mission, or AIM, as it is known. Within the Student Programs Directorate, our sister division, the Academy partners, a lot of them work for AIM during those weeks of the summer. It is a week-long course that basically gives rising juniors, that's the right term, rising juniors, the opportunity to find out if they really want to consider applying to be part of the Coast Guard Academy. This is not meant to be a camp that parents send their students to who have no interest in serving in the Coast Guard Academy. It's really meant to be something that's an introduction to what it would be like to be in the Academy. We are fortunate that last year, one of our Sea Scouts from one of our auxiliary sponsored ships, there in D5 South, National Capital Area Council, ship 25, which is in the 25th Division, happens to auxiliary sponsored ship. One of their young Sea Scouts went through the program and was the honor graduate from their week in AIM. One of the things about being the honor graduate for your week in AIM, that basically means as long as you pass your physical, you will be admitted to the academy. So it's it's a guarantee. It's a golden ticket, if you will. So it is it's a big deal for that, and it is a great program. A lot of my friends have worked on that program. I haven't been able to because I need to get a hip replaced, and the academy is not on flat ground, so not real good for you on a bad hip. So that is one of the other things that's coming up this summer. There is an information seminar that is going to be on Wednesday night. And if you know some young folks who are interested, I encourage you to have them attend that information seminar. Our registration for that, and we will again have our own selection committee. They have allotted us 10 slots for Sea Scouts to attend AIM for this summer. So if there's interest, please let them know that we will be taking applications shortly. We're just getting all of that information put together. It kind of all came up quickly on us. So it's a little faster than we wanted to, but that's okay. Let's see. Kim, you're on here, and I see you're unmuted. I'd like to introduce you guys to Kim Isaacs. She is the division chief for the Academy Partners Program. Is there anything you want to say, Kim? And she went mute on me.
No, the AIM program is actually for people who are in their junior year now and are rising seniors. That's the
Okay.
only thing. It's a great opportunity. It gives you a good idea of what SWAB summer is all about. And you learn a lot about the academy.
Ben's worked there a few times on her
A
own.
few. Yeah.
Any questions about either the Bark Eagle or AIM?
Yeah, here, John Matheson.
Hey, John?
Yeah, you said there's a presentation on Wednesday, or
Yes.
okay. How
It's
do
an
we
information-
link into that?
It is posted in both the Sea Scout Facebook group and the AuxScout Facebook group, and it is on both cscout.org website and the AuxScout.com website.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. It's a Teams meeting, by the way, for anybody who isn't real thrilled with Teams. It's still a Teams meeting, just so you know. Okay. So a few things have come up recently that have just come out in our area. And Bruce posted in the chat the link to the information night for anybody who wants that link right away. Thank you, Bruce. The one of the questions came up about color guards, and one of the things that we've noticed is not every auxiliary district has their own color guard, and in some cases, they don't really. People don't want to participate in the color guard. I would suggest to you that Sea Scout ships are really great doing color guards. Most of them have done it at least once in their lifetime, usually because they've had to do it at a council banquet, or they've had to do it at an annual meeting, or even just an executive board meeting, whatever it might be. So they've had experience doing these things, and they usually do an exceedingly good job at it as well. And they take it very seriously. Of course, Sea Scouts not allowed to carry a weapon. So one of the interesting ones we saw recently where a Sea Scout ship participated was that they actually carried oars that were painted with the Coast Guard racing stripe on them. So honestly thought it looked really sharp, to tell you truthfully. So that one works, and I do encourage our ships that, as well as our districts, that if they are interested in looking for a color guard, they may want to check with the Sea Scout ship that is in your area to be able to do that. It's a small thing. It really is. It seems like a small thing, but you know what? Sea Scouts love doing it, and at the same time, it lets everybody watch a color guard do a very good job at the presentation of the colors. So it is one of those things that as it's out there, and if you have the opportunity, volunteer your Sea Scout ship, especially if you're associated directly with a auxiliary sponsored ship. Make sure you tell the skipper though, they might want to know that. Okay. I asked this question last month of the district staff officers and our youth program staff. We got a couple of answers out of them. I'm hoping for some more. I'm not looking for an immediate answer. You all get enough email from me, so you know how to get a hold of me. We have been requested to start looking to put together a event where we could have all of the auxiliary sponsored Sea Scout ships, leaders and youth, attend. Now, it is my belief that that would probably be best served by a regular recurring event, be that a safety at sea, be that a regatta that might be being done in a particular area. I can tell you that trying to hook it up with NACON or Intrain probably isn't going to work because they're not used to having a lot of young people around for those events. So that's probably not the best solution. But I think that we can find, none of us here know different events that are pretty regular and reoccurring. I know one of the ones that came up was the Venturing Winterfest that's done every year in Gatlinburg. That just happened here a couple of weeks back. So that's another one that we've put on our list. We're just gathering some locations so that we can start to do some planning. So if you have a regular recurring event that goes on in your area that you think, you could have 40 plus Sea Scout ships, youth and adults showing up to attend, plus national staff people, well, let me know. That would be a great thing to know, and we will work then to get that particular piece moving forward. Okay, like I said, email me, or drop it in the chat, either one. Those are always great ways to go about that. I can see there's more stuff, there's stuff going in the chat, left, right, and sideways beside me, so. I expect that Holly will tell me if there's something I really need to know.
Yes, I'm checking it. Thank
I
you.
know you. I knew you would. So Holly's always been the guardian of the chat box, it seems like, for as long as I can remember. Okay, so next on the agenda. Those are all kind of the pieces of our goals that I was talking about. And so I just wanted to let you know that, we're looking at these items. And so these are the things we're working towards, to meet our goals as well as to help our program expand and grow better. So I hope those things, you think that we have some reasonable goals that we're trying to go after. I will also tell you that we have one of our goals is going to be coming up fairly soon. I have written a script for a new video. Some of you know, we came out with a new video November, December, can't remember. It was November, on how to submit for a Coast Guard charter. It's a 7.5-minute video. I mean, we've had the checklist that lots of people have used, but hey, a 7.5-minute video can also help you really kind of understand the process. And so that is out there on our YouTube channel. And it is wonderful that you can be able to get those resources. We're creating another one that says how to work with the Sea Scout ship. And that's really designed for auxiliary flotillas and divisions if they're interested in providing support to Sea Scout ships in the area, how they can go about it. Kind of a very simple, straightforward process. I'm timing that one out still to get my exact times on it. And I'm going to guess that's going to run probably about the same 7 minutes or so worth of video time. And that one will be getting recorded very soon. And that will also be on our YouTube channel. So just so you know, I got ideas already being thrown in here already. That's great. Okay. Where was I? Program support. Where did you? Oh, there's Arnie. Arnie, you moved. You're suddenly in the upper right on my upper right corner. So I didn't see you up there. Arnie, you want to talk a little bit about time reporting and Aux Data 2?
Sure. As everybody knows, and people have been knocking us in the heads for years, if it doesn't get reported, it isn't done. Coast Guard takes a mathematical look at us, a dollar look, and the more time we put in, the more valuable they can put down on paper. Value for the services that the auxiliary gives to the Coast Guard. Many people know about. Unfortunately, a lot of them don't. But if we have hard numbers reported, it's there in a dollar and cents type of way. Some people are still afraid of AuxData 2. I'm one of them. And if you do have hours and you're having a problem getting used to the new system, talk to your flotilla or your division IS officer. They'd be happy to help you. But the more hours we can get in, the better things go. Be sure if you are a scouter, if you work directly with scouts, you use the code AuxScout 2. If you are just on the auxiliary side working as an AS officer, use AuxScout 1. They do ask whether you are working on Sea Scouts or doing a boat show, please put it under the AuxScout 1 or 2. It does bring our numbers up. It is a numbers game, but everything that we do should be listed under that. We had quite an increase in our numbers from 2023 to 2024. And with everybody's help and support, we can bring that up even further. I'm going to be better about it, and it's important that everybody makes that a priority, even if you're putting it in just once a month. It's not that painful to do it yourself. As I said, the IS officers would be happy to help you, so be sure you do that. That's where I end.
Thank you, sir. Just so you know exactly what Arnie was talking about, there is the operations code AUX SCO1 and SCO2. SCO1 is for auxiliaries who are not registered as a Sea Scout leader with Scouting America. AUX SCO2 are for those who are registered as Sea Scout leaders. And for us, AUX SCO2 is something we actually use on each and every item under the operations code in aux data 2. If you have an overriding operations code that needs to be recorded, obviously, use that for some of those, because obviously there's a lot of those. The ones for Sea Scouts, for auxiliary Sea Scouts 1821, in fact, for any of them, is AUX SCO as well. That it is so, I can tell you that last year we finished the year 17% ahead of where we were a year ago at the end of 2024. We pull our data through the end of January. I know that there's still people who are sometimes entering data for 2024 after January 31st, but I use January 31st because I know that's the cutoff that gets used by national for many, many things. So we let it run, and 2024 entries until January 31st. Now we're going to start with 2025 entries. Well, we already have quite a few hours already recorded for 2025. So it's a simple process. It's really not hard. Most IS officers will walk you through it. My IS officer says that as long as she can read the chicken scratch on the bar napkin, she can still use it to record hours. So, I've got a great IS officer. I will tell you that, though.
Ron, there is a question.
Yeah.
It's actually addressed to Arnie or you, from Bruce Krieger.
Mhm.
So he's saying, I am an IS officer, and is this reported as 10J ComRel or another mission code? Operations codes have drop downs.
Yes, operations codes are a dropdown. It is supposed to be reported, if you're reporting AUX SCO2, it should be reported with every mission code. If you're doing PA, that's obviously, if you're doing ComRel, that's 10J. If you're doing, if you're attending a flotilla meeting, okay? If you're a member of the flotilla, that, it's one of those things. So there are other ways it gets used. It is not limited to very specific ones. So that's why I always try to tell folks, use it for everything, unless you have something that is an overriding factor. The folks who just worked on the Bay Bridge collapse in Baltimore, while they were working there, they had a special operations code for them for that. Those that have worked on hurricane relief efforts, there's usually a special code for them for that. Obviously, that makes far more sense for those particular items. But for everything else, we have our own code. So that's why I always encourage everybody to use it. Does that answer your question there, Bruce?
It certainly did, and I agree with you completely. It can be under multiple mission codes. I was actually referring to a larger event with 10J, but anyone that's an officer in their flotilla or in their division or the district can be 99 Alpha in many instances, and then use the drop down for AS1 or AS2. So I just wanted to clarify that, and also let you know you've got an IS officer amongst you. If there's anything I can do, just reach out to me. and try not to use the napkins. We have 70-29s and 70-30s that serve that purpose.
Okay.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, she knows my flotilla too well.
It's not just your flotilla, Rob, not just your flotilla.
And then, and then there is a quick question from Paul Fernandez, who actually says what code should be used for general training of Sea Scouts?
Well, that depends on if they're being given our general training that we'd be giving for border safety. We know what those codes are. And in fact, there is actually a code for border safety training that happens to be for youth, which I found rather interesting. That was one of the new ones that came out not too long ago. I'm trained in 10J. I'm trained in AUX 10 too, Bruce. So there is a code for that as well. So, it is one of those, if you are training a Sea Scout who is actually an auxiliary, and they remember, it could be 06 Bravo, right? If you're a trained instructor. So it just kind of depends on, what is the topic specifically that's being taught. I'll just say that. So it can get to be, that's why we have IS officers. Their job is to keep us all legal in the process. Okay, let me see. Where was I going next? Yes. Okay, PJ. Are you available to help us out with a little bit about what's going on in your upcoming videos, sir?
All right, well, here we are. Good evening, everyone. I'm PJ O'Neill, Branch Chief STEM Training, and we organize, produce, and record and, for lack of a better term, archive various types of webinar trainings. Ron was talking earlier about an upcoming training video, and we typically call something like that in that 7-minute range a quick tip. And from time to time, we have training webinars, but the cornerstone is the Tech Talk program. So I will give a brief overview of Tech Talks for people that are new to the AuxScout staff, just so you know what I'm talking about, and then tell you about this month's training coming up on February 25th. So Tech Talks are an online webinar on a topic that is typically maritime related and incorporates some aspect of science, technology, engineering, or math, STEM. It's not just me. I have a team that works on putting together high quality Tech Talks with top-notch subject matter experts. They usually last 40 to 45 minutes and then time for questions afterwards. Tech Talks are always held on the 4th Tuesday of the month, 9 p.m. Eastern time, and they are broadcast live. So you can tune in to a Tech Talk live, and like tonight's meeting, they're also recorded, and they live on the AuxScout YouTube channel. So if you are not familiar with Tech Talks, I can't recommend highly enough going to the AuxScout YouTube channel and looking at some of the Tech Talks that we've put out over the last several years. There's a lot of high quality training there that is used in Sea Scout ships, as well as auxiliary flotillas, and even at the division meeting level. Some Tech Talks are appropriate to use the entire Tech Talk for training, or you could be the point person, you watch it and say, this 10 to 15 minutes is a perfect training bit for my flotilla meeting. So that is my hot tip, is check out previous Tech Talks on the AuxScout YouTube channel and see if there's anything there that you can pass along to a flotilla or Sea Scout ship to be used for training. The program has, just a little historical data, the program has really grown and done well. Our training materials reviewed last year in 2024, just over an aggregate 4,700 hours of viewing. So we are, with our online training, we are reaching a lot of auxiliaries, we're reaching a lot of Sea Scouts. but also we are reaching a larger portion of the boating public as well. Not all of our viewers are Sea Scouts or auxiliaries, even though that is our target audience. So in kind of a soft public affairs way, we are getting the brand, the name of the auxiliary and the Sea Scout out there with these high quality trainings. So if you haven't attended before, I'd strongly encourage you to check out our upcoming Tech Talk. And what else could you do for us? Advertise it. Send it along through your flotilla, through your division, and through your Sea Scout channels to make sure we get as much participation as possible. And if people can't make that particular time at 2100 hours Eastern on the fourth Tuesday, they are always posted to the AuxScout and Sea Scout YouTube channels. So coming up on February 25th, we have Dr. Robin Pope, who is no stranger to the Tech Talk circuit. If you've not ever listened to a presentation by Robin Pope, he is a top-notch presenter that presents a lot of his original research. And this month's Tech Talk topic, that's a little tongue twister there. This month's topic is first aid training, what you need to know and where to find that type of training. So Dr. Robin Pope is taking a look at the most common types of injuries, incidents, and sicknesses that we are likely to encounter while on the water or in a maritime atmosphere. And he's linking that to what the appropriate first aid training would be, and then giving us practical recommendations on where and how to find that training, as well as different levels of certification. So this is a really practical training that's coming up on February 25th, and I would highly recommend checking out Dr. Pope's presentation. So I hope to see you there at the next Tech Talk. I'd also invite anyone in the AuxScout program to submit any topics or names of someone that has expertise in any maritime field that you think might be appropriate, that would be beneficial for auxiliaries and Sea Scouts to learn about. Either by myself or Hiram Muscovy, we would love to vet future subject matter experts for a Tech Talk, find out what their area of expertise are and what they might have to offer for our community. So if you have an idea, if you have someone in mind, you know, some kind of star instructor who's comfortable presenting online and is familiar with the Sea Scout and auxiliary world, pass them along to me. I'd love to talk with them. And I think that's it, Ron.
Thank you, PJ. Appreciate it. I did have one more training topic that I wanted to mention, and that is CBadge. CBadge is the Advanced Sea Scout Leader Training. You do not necessarily have to be a Sea Scout leader to take that particular training. There are courses that are taught on a very regular basis virtually, as well as courses that are done in person. So online and in person. Two such classes that are coming up is a CBadge, virtual CBadge class that will be starting in March. It usually runs over 2 weekends, but there is work that's on those virtual courses. There's usually work that gets done. You're in a crew, and so the crew has work that it does both before the course and during the course. So they may get together during the week to get work out between the two sessions. They're usually on like Saturday, Sunday, is the way they normally do their training. So there is one coming up in Wisconsin. It's a virtual course. That one is in March, if memory serves me correctly. And then we do have the next recent in-person training will actually be held in the fall. It'll be in September, and it will be held at the summit. Those of us who are familiar with scouting know where that is. It is in West Virginia. It is the home of the National Boy Scout, National Scouting Jamborees, which is it's a fantastic place there. And they have a wonderful training center that they've opened up there. with dormitory style rooms and such, and really good food. And it's been used for such things. Recently, they just did a wood badge session for what they refer to as joint troops. Those are troops that have both a boys unit, a Boy Scout troop, and a girls Scout troop. So that's been really very interesting and done there. But we're going to be doing sea badge there this September or October, September. So that you can get the information on those courses on cscout.org under leader resources training. So just thought I'd mention that. Bum. Where'd he go? I lost him again. I always love it when I lose. Oh, there's Anthony. Hello, Anthony. There, you're next to Arnie now. Emily.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Anthony, you have any updates from social media for us, sir?
I can say that January, I wrote these down. We had 12 different postings on the group site for 1,631 views. So that's pretty it's not too bad. Our most active days are Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. I just thought that was kind of odd, right? People like during the week are like, yeah, we don't care about this, but on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, they start looking at the group page. So that's about it. I mean, the more stuff we get, the more we can post, and obviously some of the stuff that we get is less than scouting appropriate, so those usually get taken down pretty quickly. As they come in like at 2 o'clock in the morning, then it's just sometimes we miss those ones. But that's really it. If you have stuff to go on there, feel free to send it over. And that's it. Our Instagram, I just got into that account recently, and we threw the upcoming AIM mission out there, and I think I got like eight hits pretty quickly. So I'm pretty happy with that. Hopefully we get some more people out to the group that way. Some other social media stuff coming up that I'll be working on. Next couple weeks as I start to settle into this role and my other roles in the auxiliary. So getting everything meshed together, and after that we'll do some more marketing stuff to try to get the AuxScout message out to the flotillas and some of the scouting councils. Some councils don't know that. Well, sadly, they don't know Sea Scout exists, which I thought was kind of amazing. But no, not only that, they don't know about the AuxScout program. So I'm working to try to get something communicated, typed up, written up. That's an easy read for people, so they can not have to go to a website and read all this gobbledygook, as they will call it. Just really simple what AuxScout means, what it can do, and how it benefit not only the auxiliary but the local council. And that's really it.
Sir, just so everybody doesn't know, we happen to have on the AuxScout.com website 3 trifold handouts. There's the one that talks about Sea Scouts or the AuxScout program for Sea Scouts. There's one that talks about the AuxScout program for auxiliarists. And the third one, which is a really nice brochure, really covers all 3 of the programs of the S Directorate. The Auxiliary University program, the Academy Partners program, as well as the youth programs. So those are nice little brochures. They're right there on our site on the resources page. You can download them, print them off, take them with you to D-Train. Great things to have when you go to D-Train, and always good to have things that people can take in their hand and walk home with, so they have more information. And speaking of which, that brings us to time with our director. Bruce, do you have some salient words of wisdom, sir?
Oh, well, thank you everyone for joining this workshop this evening. This has been near and dear to my heart for many, many years. As Ron mentioned, the letter of intent between the Coast Guard Auxiliary, and Scouting America, it has 2 of the 3 signatures on it that it needs. And I'm expecting to hear within a couple of days about the third signature. So my fingers are officially crossed on that. I know that the application materials for the Eagle Summer Cruise are already posted, and the application materials for the AIM opportunity for Sea Scouts will be posted very shortly. The information from the Academy has just come in the last couple of weeks, and we're playing catch up with that, but that will be online and will get promoted first on the Facebook groups, both the Sea Scout and the AuxScout Facebook groups. If you aren't already familiar with all of our online resources, really take a moment to review those. One thing I wanted to mention is, and Ron has already kind of talked about this, with the announcement last month about the change of age eligibility for Sea Scouts joining the auxiliary. That is the only change. And that's the only significant change in the LOI, which is replacing the memorandum of agreement that was signed back in 2018. I do expect that there probably will be a new SOP that will come out once the LOI has been signed by everybody. I hope everybody is enjoying all of these acronyms I'm throwing at you. I don't believe there's been any work started on the new AuxScout SOP. I'm really not expecting any significant changes. If you are aware of any problems in the current SOP, please let Ron know, because it would be really good to have those in hand when BSX at Coast Guard headquarters is ready to work on those. We want that document to say what we need it to say, so there aren't questions about what do we do in such and such a situation. Questions seem to come up pretty regularly about things that we have answered over and over again. There was a question that came up in the last 48 hours in one of the districts. They really didn't know what the process was for granting a Coast Guard charter for a auxiliary chartered Sea Scout ship, and they were making it up on their own rather than checking the documentation. Yeah, I had much the same reaction that David Friedman had to that, just shaking my head. We keep on repeating the same stuff, but that's why you are getting paid big bucks to do the job that you're doing. And I'm saying that with my tongue in cheek, but all of you are leaders. You have a leadership responsibility to the Coast Guard Auxiliary, to the Coast Guard, and frankly also to the Sea Scout program. If you don't know answers to things, Ron has a terrific staff that can answer any question that you can throw their way, and they are very patient and they'll be happy to help you with that. And if you need a little interceding with people who are stubbornly misinformed about things, which does happen from time to time, I know you're shocked to hear that. And this is not unique to AuxScout. There are lots of people in this world, not just in the auxiliary, but they are experts in things that they have just a little bit of information about. So we're here to help them go on the narrow path, and we will do good things for the Coast Guard and for the auxiliary. Notwithstanding this change about the membership standards, we are helping hundreds of Sea Scouts every week and we are helping the Sea Scout program grow, and we are helping the Coast Guard Auxiliary grow. Plus, we are introducing scouts to potential careers with the Coast Guard or other maritime careers. And they're teenagers, they're at a point in their lives where they're trying to figure out what they want to do with themselves. And we can offer them some opportunities that maybe they wouldn't have otherwise become in contact with. So you are performing a very valuable service. The powers that be in the Coast Guard and the Coast Guard Auxiliary really appreciate your efforts. And on their behalf, I want to thank you for all the good work that you're doing. And I want to particularly recognize Ron and his team for their hours and hours of selfless service to help you be successful and help the Coast Guard and the Auxiliary be successful. So thank you very much, Ron, and I'll turn it back to you.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate the words and we appreciate the recognition. I will remind all of you who are on this call, the vast majority of you are flotilla staff officers for the AuxScout program or direct or division, or maybe I can't talk tonight, guys. I'm sorry. Or district, or maybe you're a national staff officer, whatever you might be. We all have that little title officer after us, and that means that we are required to have uniform inspections done every year. So just to remind you of that, you can, if you're not close to your home flotilla, you can send them a photograph of you in complete uniform, head to toe, along with a photograph of the front and back of your ID card, so they know it's still serviceable and it hasn't expired. But you can send that to your flotilla commander, and they can actually approve your uniform inspection from that photo. But it does need to show you wearing your headgear, and it does need to show you wearing the appropriate shoes as well. So footgear, if you sure say it that way. But just so you know, those are requirements, and it's something we have to do every year. I also wish to thank everybody for their time tonight. I tried my best to keep this to as close to an hour as I possibly could. I will hang around afterwards if there are questions that you wanted to ask that you didn't ask earlier. We will shut off the recording, and that we will turn off all the captions and kill the AI companion that's currently running, taking notes for me, so that we can have all that information available. By the way, if you've never looked, we have our map out there, the AuxScout map, as it's known. It is at tinyurl.com/AuxScout that concept. But that map actually shows you every flotilla and every Sea Scout ship, not just auxiliary sponsored ones, every Sea Scout ship from across the country. And including quite a few in remote places not within the continental United States. So it's a great resource to take a look at. You can find a lot of great information on there. And if you're just trying to help somebody, say, hey, do you know if there's a ship somewhere near Chatham, Massachusetts? You can actually look on that map and you can find out. So thank you, everybody. I appreciate everybody's time tonight. I thank you for all your efforts in working for the youth programs. And I hope that we see each of you again in another 3 months. Take care, everybody. Bye now.
Ron, there was a little bit more of questions in the chat.